Something is off in Detroit. And if you've been watching this team closely over the past couple of weeks, you know exactly what that means. Just 6 games ago, the Detroit Pistons were starting to look like a team that was finally finding its rhythm. There was confidence in the way they played, there was pace, movement, and a sense of direction. You could feel the potential building game by game. Even when they lost, it felt like progress was being made. But now, they don't even look like the same team. The offense has stalled, the defense has cracked, the chemistry feels broken, and the energy that once made them exciting to watch, it's fading quickly. Instead of building momentum, they now look frustrated, hesitant, and disconnected. So the question has to be asked, should Pistons fans be worried? Because what we've seen over the last 6 games feels like more than just a rough patch. It feels like a warning sign. And if that's true, then this rebuild might be in more danger than people want to admit. Let's really break this down. Over the last 6 games, the Pistons haven't simply been losing. They've been getting outplayed in almost every aspect of the game. They're slower to loose balls, they're weaker on the glass, they're careless with the basketball. The crisp passing that once gave them life has turned into forced possessions and panic decisions. On defense, rotations are late, assignments are messed, communication is nowhere to be found. Players are pointing fingers instead of switching or helping. You can see the confusion on the floor. You can see the frustration in their body language. You can see the doubt starting to sink in. This is a team that once played fearlessly, a group of young players hungry to prove something. They attacked the basket with confidence. They played fast and free. They trusted one another. Now they're second-guessing everything. Instead of attacking, they hesitate. Instead of moving the ball, they isolate. Instead of trusting the system, they try to do too much on their own. And that almost always leads to a bad shot, a turnover, or an easy bucket for the other team. In the NBA, changes like this don't happen for no reason. Something has shifted in Detroit. And whatever it is, it's showing up on the court in a big way. Let's start with the offense, because that's where the collapse has been most obvious. Early in the season, Detroit may not have been elite, but at least they were organized. The ball moved, the spacing made sense, players cut to the basket, big men set real screens, shots came within the rhythm of the offense. There was a plan, and you could see it. Over the last 6 games, that structure has vanished. Now we're watching rushed shots early in the clock, contested jumpers with a hand in the face, forced drives into multiple defenders. The spacing is a mess. Shooters are too close together. Driving lanes are clogged. Instead of rhythm, there's chaos. And when the shots stop falling, everything else gets worse. Frustration builds. Confidence drops. Players feel pressure. They start forcing plays that aren't there. The turnovers increase. The energy drops even more. Then that frustration starts to show in body language, on the bench, and on defense. That spiral is exactly where Detroit is right now. Cade Cunningham, who is supposed to be the engine of this franchise, is feeling the effects of it too. Defenses are keying in on him. They're cutting off his driving lanes. They're sending extra help. They're making him give the ball up early. And when he does, his teammates just aren't making teams pay for it. Instead of quick decisions and confident shots, we're seeing hesitation and second thoughts. Open looks turn into contested ones. Good opportunities get wasted. And when Cade feels that pressure, the rest of the team feels it as well. Suddenly, everything is harder than it needs to be. Even more concerning is the lack of a reliable backup plan. When the three-point shots aren't falling, there's no consistent inside presence to fall back on. There's no automatic mid-range threat. There's no go-to set that can calm everything down and create easy buckets. It's almost like once plan A fails, there is no plan B. That's a serious issue. But somehow, the defense has been even worse than the offense. Over the last 6 games, opposing teams have been scoring with almost no resistance. Guards are getting downhill with ease. Big men are getting deep position in the paint. Shooters are standing wide open on the perimeter as if no one even knows they're there. That kind of breakdown doesn't just come from lack of talent. That comes from lack of communication and lack of effort. You'll see one player fighting over a screen while another doesn't rotate. You'll see two defenders chasing the same man while someone else is left completely alone. You'll see hands down on closeouts, lazy footwork, and no urgency to recover. Those are mental mistakes, not just physical ones. Defense is mostly about effort and focus, and right now, Detroit isn't showing either. When a team loses its defensive identity, it usually means confidence is gone too. Teams that don't believe in themselves don't play hard on defense. They don't trust that their effort will even matter. That's not a good sign for a young roster. So what's really going on behind the scenes? Is this simply about fatigue? Is the long season catching up to them? Are their legs tired? Are their minds worn down? That could be part of it. A full NBA season is a grind, especially for young players who've never experienced anything like it before. But this feels deeper than just tired legs. This also feels like a confidence problem. When you lose enough games in a row, the doubt starts creeping in. You start expecting things to go wrong. Every missed shot feels heavier. Every mistake feels bigger. And once that mindset takes over, it can completely break a team's rhythm. Then there's the possibility that this is a coaching and adjustment issue. Opposing teams might have figured out Detroit's basic game plan. They know where the ball wants to go. They know which players to help off of. They know how to clog the paint and force bad shots. And if Detroit hasn't adjusted to those adjustments, that's a huge problem. But the most realistic explanation is also the simplest one. This is what happens when a young team hits its first real wall. Inconsistency is part of the learning process. One week you look like you're figuring it out, the next week you look completely lost. That's normal for a rebuilding team. The difference between good young teams and bad young teams is how they respond in moments like this. Right now, the Pistons aren't responding very well. The effort is inconsistent. One night someone shows energy, the next night they disappear. The leadership is quiet. There's no one on the floor demanding accountability. No one setting the emotional tone. Without that presence, a young team naturally starts to drift. And that's where real concern begins. Because the problem isn't talent. This team has plenty of talent. They have players who can score, players who can defend, players who can develop into future stars. The issue is direction. The issue is mindset. The issue is discipline. Talent without those things means nothing. So let's answer the big question again. Should there be concern? Yes, definitely. Should there be panic? Not yet. Rebuilds are not pretty. They're supposed to be uncomfortable. They're supposed to be frustrating. If you expected this process to be smooth, then you were never being realistic in the first place. However, this 6-game stretch is absolutely a warning sign. It's a moment that should force everyone in the organization to take a hard look in the mirror. Because if they don't fix these issues soon, this slump could stretch to 10 games, 15 games, or more. At that point, it becomes your identity. And once losing becomes your identity, it's very difficult to reverse. Right now, Detroit is at a crossroads. One path leads to accountability, intensity, and improvement. The other leads to frustration, wasted potential, and another lost season. The next few games will tell us exactly which direction they've chosen. Will they respond with energy? Will they tighten up on defense? Will they move the ball and trust each other? Or will they continue to force shots, miss assignments, and look disconnected? Because that answer is coming very soon. And make no mistake, the rest of the league is watching. Other teams sense weakness. They sense when a young squad is vulnerable. And they will attack it over and over until you prove that you won't fold anymore. Detroit needs to make a statement. If they do, this stretch will just be a painful learning experience, a necessary speed bump in the journey to becoming a real contender. But if they don't, then this could be the beginning of another long, painful chapter in Pistons history. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is really happening in Detroit right now? Is this just a normal slump for a young team? Or do you think this is a sign that something bigger is wrong? Is it the players, the coaching, the front office, the system? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy honest, in-depth, no-filter NBA breakdowns like this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you realize, and it lets you stay locked in as we continue to follow this Pistons situation closely. One thing is for sure, the story in Detroit is far from over. And the next chapter might be the most important one yet.